Hatzimtzum, and in that level of the Oirin Sof Shalifnei Hatzimtzum, there is a very big difference between the L'mayla and Ketz, which is a level that's completely concealed, even within himself, versus the level of L'mata Mata Din Tachlis, which is already revealed or shaykh to the world of revelation, still in the Oirin Sof Shalifnei Hatzimtzum. So now he's going to conclude, this is more of a soft landing of what the whole point of what the Frierdiker Rebbe wants to bring out with this. So again, Ois Ches, top of page Chavav, 13th page of the copies. After he concludes this Ois in Ois Tezayin in the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer, so now what's the Hemshech? Just like he brought at the beginning everything leading up to Ois Tezayin, so now he's going to bring out what's the conclusion, what follows from Ois Tezayin. He continues to explain the example of this in the Oirin Sof. There's a level of the light that's in the state of revelation, at least as much as you could say revelation within the Oirin Sof Shlifnei Hatzimtzum. In other words, a possibility for revelation, a source for revelation. There's the essence of the light that's not at all in the category of a revelation and being drawn down at all in the world. Just the opposite. It becomes concealed and included in the very essence of Hashem. So these are the two levels of Oirin Sof L'mayla Ketz L'mata Mata Din Tachlis. This level, the most concealed level, the most essential level that's concealed within Hashem's very essence, this is called a treasure, that the whole Hemshech of Legani is about, the treasure that the soldiers are given for the war. Just like a treasure is closed off and sealed and concealed from the eye of all who can see it. In other words, it's not visible to anyone. So to the level of Hashem's essence is closed off and concealed. Not just concealed in comparison to the receiver, that the receiver is too small, too limited to be able to receive it, but it in itself may have something to do with the world of revelation. So he says, no. Rather, it's something that is essentially concealed. Stimid, the kol stimin, it's the concealment of all concealments. This is the point of the Frierdiker Rebbe's whole Hemshech. This treasure, this Eitzer, is sealed off as long as there's no need for the idea of victory. We need to be victorious in the war. Then we open up and we give out the treasures that are sealed off and hidden away from generation to generation. The manner, the way it's given, it's similar to what we spoke earlier about the stories in the Torah. You cannot communicate, you cannot transmit that level of Makif Harochek, Makif of Orchaizer, the most concealed level of the Rav's teaching, or the most concealed level of the Torah, cannot be transmitted only if it is transmitted in a concealed fashion, like the secrets that are transmitted in the stories in the Torah. Similar to the idea of a metaphor, that we're saying that the metaphor that also is something that is something completely foreign, and through that it's communicated the ideas that are very, very deep. Through the metaphor, through the mashal, we receive the entire idea the way it's by the Rav, even the levels that are beyond the Makif HaKardiv, even the levels of Makif HaRochik. To such a degree is it received that this becomes what the receiver's level is. It becomes part of him. Because if it wouldn't become part of him, how would he be able to use it to be victorious in the war? That's what he's going to say right now. Because it becomes the matter of the receiver, that's why the receiver can use it for the sake of the war. And through using it for the sake of the war, he's going to be able to be victorious in the war. So he says in the second paragraph, so the Rebbe says we could add in explaining the general advantage and quality of something that's called a treasure. Like it's explained in the Hemshech of Basel Legani, in the series of Amorim, in the Isis prior to Ois Zayin, which is the main point of the Smaimer, but it goes back all the way to Ois Yud Aleph. Shehu Hain Yakar HaNesaf. Now he quotes the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's a precious wealth and treasure, HaNesaf and Nikbatz, that was collected and gathered B'meshach Kama Shonim over many years, Midor Achar Dor, generation after generation, the Hainu Hein Masha Otzar Ba'atzmai, V'Hein Masha Otzar Avoisov, both what he himself stored and made it into treasure, and both what his fathers and forefathers before him stored away in treasure as a treasure. So he says that we could explain what the Frierdiker Rebbe meant by that. Al pi bir Tzemach Tzedek, according to the explanation of the Tzemach Tzedek, and the Rebbe says in the brackets, Shashoni Shnas HaMeil is Talkas Elul Shaloi. The year when the Rebbe said this Maimer in Tavshin Chavav is the 100th year since the yahrzeit of the Tzemach Tzedek of the passing, the Stalkus, which was in Tavshin Reish Chavav. And the Tzemach Tzedek says Ba'ira Torah Dvarim in the Maimorim of his on Chumash Dvarim Halaposik V'Hoya Ekev Tishmun. So he says that when you will listen, the Koyal in Aschar Sheba Okev, it's referring to the reward that's in the heel B'Soif Hayom, at the end of days, Ani Noisen Lachem, I am going to give it to you. So it says the Medrash explains that it's in the Akev. The Akev means the lowest part of the body, the same thing in time. It's all the way at the heel. When are you going to get it? When is the reward going to come for Tishmun? That's going to be Akev. That's going to be at the end of days. L'machar l'kabel scholar, like it says, on the morrow is to receive reward. The reward is not at present. So, the Tzemach Tzedek explains a very interesting thing. She'ein ha'inyan shel la'asid lavoi liyishalom HaKadosh Baruch Hu rak haschar shehayaroi achshav b'shas asiyas ha'mitzvah. It's not just that Hashem is going to pay 2,000, 3,000 years later the reward that the Yidden were supposed to get for the mitzvah starting in the year 2448 or 2488 when this was said. And so in other words, the principle was sitting by the Eibishter for 3,000 years, and that's what you're going to get back? So he says, no. You're going to get the principle and accrued, the Rebbe doesn't use the term interest, but it's like accrued interest. So he gives the example. Similar to what's related in the Medrash. The story with Rav Pinchas Bayar, there are people that left in his safekeeping a pekadon of barley, and these people that left it by him forgot about it, and they went on their way. So Rav Pinchas Bayar didn't want that these barley should go to waste and should rot away, etc., etc. So Rav Pinchas Bayar would plant them, the seeds of this barley, every single year, and he made them, gathered them all together, and he piled them up and stored them away. 7 years later, so these people that left, the barley, but in Pinchas ben Yair went back to demand and ask, give us back our barley. Miyad hikarais on Pinchas ben Yair, immediately Pinchas ben Yair recognized them. Amar lahem bayu utlu oitzrei seichem. Come and take your treasure. In other words, he presented to them, silos full of barley that had accrued and grown over 7 years. So the Tzemach Tzedek says the same thing happens with the reward that Hashem puts away for us for Ekev, for Achres Hayomim. It keeps on growing. It's not just whatever we earned then. If we would have taken it then we would have had much less. But because it's all this time, it's constantly growing. So he says, in a similar vein in the Nimshal, through the reward being delayed up till now, and we wait for it, like it says in the pasuk that he will do for those that await him, throughout many years, generation after generation, like in the marshal of the treasures that the king has, generation after generation. So then the reward increases and grows in a way that the fruits give off their fruits. Till even from a small amount, you make from it a big treasure trove of goods. Top of the last page, Chav Zayin. Then this treasure, though we give it to the officers that are in charge of the army, those are the ones that actually are handed the treasure. The purpose is to reach the foot soldiers, because they should have the capability to actually bring about the victory in the war. And only through them the will of the king becomes fulfilled. Malka Shalom, the king of the world. They'll be victorious in the war. Until they will effect the fulfillment of the promise. That the glory of Hashem will become revealed. And all flesh will see together. That the mouth of Hashem spoke.